Hello and welcome to Your Health Reclaimed with DrPND, where we help you reclaim your health with tips, tools, and resources to live your most optimal and vibrant life. Here's your host, DrPND.
Hello and welcome to Your Health Reclaimed. This is your host, DrPND. In today's episodes, we are going to discuss why creatine supplementation should be a top consideration for women, and how it supports physical health and beyond. So we have had a lot of women over the years as clients. 90% of them were middle-aged and above. And the issues that women face are a bit different than men when it comes to aging. And today, again, I want to discuss why it's important to supplement with creatine. So as women age, they face various physiological changes and challenges that impacts their strength, metabolism, and overall well-being. Hormonal fluctuations, particularly during menopause, contribute to muscle loss, which is called sarcopenia, decreased bone density, osteoporosis or osteopenia, which is that happens before osteoporosis takes place, a slower metabolism, and increased fat accumulation, all of which can significantly affect daily function and long-term mental and physical health, obviously. So these changes are closely tied to age-related hormonal shifts, including decreased estrogen, decreased growth hormone, decreased insulin-like growth factor, which plays, all these play a vital role in muscle maintenance and bone remodeling, and which all of these ultimately lead to better health and function. So creatine supplementation is a very inexpensive, very easy, simple, and cheap, but very powerful method, yet one that is often overlooked for supporting overall health in women. While commonly associated with promoting athletic performance, research increasingly highlights its benefits for muscle and bone health, as well as actually cognitive function, including memory, mental clarity, and neuroprotection throughout a woman's lifespan. By incorporating creatine into, your routine, women can really take a holistic approach to, maintaining physical health, energy production, brain health as they age. By the way, this also applies to males, but this is a little bit strictly more towards, female utilization. Creatine is probably, I'll venture to say, is one of the most researched substances to this day, natural substances to this day, starting back from, if I'm not mistaken, from the 1980s and above. There are literally tens of thousands of studies on the use and effect and safety of creatine supplementation. There's different forms, different products. The simplest one is just a pure and clean creatine monohydrate form. That's something that you can get pretty much anywhere. Obviously, you want it to be from a good, reputable, clean company. But nonetheless, the creatine monohydrate form is definitely the cheapest and the simplest, and one that is by far the most studied. It has been my personal and professional experience to say that any of the more fancier forms of creatine really have not shown, and I can vouch that have not shown to work better than creatine monohydrate, which again is the simplest and cheapest form, hands down. So let's go ahead and go over a little bit more in detail what is the role in creatine, what does it do, and how does it really support muscle health, and what is its role in energy production, which again, muscle health and strength, along with robust energy. Obviously, these are just the fundamental staples of a healthy person. So let's look into creatine's role in energy production. Creatine is a naturally occurring compound that is synthesized primarily in the liver, kidneys, and the pancreas. It is derived from the amino acid L-arginine, L-glycine, and S-adenosyl L-methionine. I know these are mouthfuls, but about 95% of the body's creatine is stored in the skeletal muscles, while the remaining 5% or so is found in the brain, kidneys, and other tissues. So within muscle cells, creatine usually exists primarily as phosphatidylcreatine, or PCR, what it's called. It's a high-energy compound that serves as a critical energy reservoir. So research shows that women exhibit 70 to 80% less endogenous creatine stores than men. So this suggests how important creatine is for supportive supplementation, for women's health. So supplementing with creatine is definitely warranted. Research has shown it numerous times again. During short bursts of high-intensity exercise, especially, energy demands rapidly exceed what can be supplied to the aerobic metabolism. So, for instance, power output can exceed in the upwards of 250% of maximum oxygen consumption. So, in these moments, creatine phosphate donates a group to adenosine diphosphate to the creatine kinase chain, which ultimately, regenerate the adenosine triphosphate stores, or what people know as ATP, which is your body's primary energy currency. So this system provides, an immediate, rapid energy source, particularly for activities lasting a few seconds or less, such as sprinting, jumping, CrossFit, powerlifting, weightlifting in general. So this, again, just is very, very important. However, once the creatine phosphate stores are depleted, energy production shifts to anaerobic glycolysis, where glucose is broken down into pyruvate for ATP generation. So when oxygen availability is low or energy demands are high, pyruvate is converting to lactate, leading to an accumulation of hydrogen atoms. This buildup contributes some sort of muscle fatigue experiencing during intense exercise. Creatine supplementation actually mitigates this process by increasing creatine phosphate availability, which will allow the muscles to regenerate ATP more efficiently and quickly, which ultimately serves as a buffer against the hydrogen ion accumulation, and potentially sustains higher intensity efforts for longer durations. I know there's a mouthful and kind of basic biology Krebs cycle class here, but it's important, and this is why it's important in a nutshell. So bottom line, creatine's role in energy production is essential, and creatine supplementation supports that very well. And all you have to do is try for yourself and literally see the difference. So next time you go to a gym, get on a good supplemental creatine monohydrate, and pay attention to the difference, how it goes during your workout. You'll definitely see a performance increase and lessen fatigue and better energy. Not the energy like caffeine or energy drinks produce, but just a longer sustained duration of energy. So the next one we're going to talk about is supporting muscle health, right? So age-related hormonal changes will impact muscle health in women faster than men, especially. So making creatine supplementation a valuable tool for maintaining strength and function. Research suggests that creatine is most effective for high-intensity, short-duration activities or repeated bouts of high-intensity exercise with short rest periods. So, for example, a clinical trial here recently on NCAA Division I athletes, which was 10 males and 10 females, found that those taking the creatine supplementation displayed a statistically significant increase in body mass, lean body mass, total work during the first sprints, and peak power during sprints 2 through 6. Notably, the female athletes saw much greater benefit in the sprints as the sprints were repeated. So again, just that confirms the need for supplementation with creatine, and why is it even more important for women to do so. So creatine may also support strength training adaptations, especially in older women. Recently here, there was a 24-week double-blind randomized placebo-controlled trial in vulnerable older women, and who they observed that the creatine plus resistance training group exhibited a significantly increase in strength, and that was measured by 1 rep max leg press by 20% compared to the placebo, which is only 2.4%. So that was a massive difference, obviously, in that. So when you have creatine combined with obviously healthy lifestyle and resistance training, it would definitely show superior gains in strength all across. So again, this suggests that creatine plus resistance training helps women promote their muscle mass and potentially attenuates age-related declines in strength. Like anything else, guys, it's not an end-all be-all. but these are just simple, effective, straightforward, inexpensive strategies to promote optimal health. Okay, nothing in and by itself is going to obviously do that, but it's a combination of that. So let's move on to the next one, which is supporting bone strength. Creatine, best known for muscle support, obviously, also supports and benefits bone health, and does so by enhancing muscle strength and power. So creatine facilitates more vigorous resistance training. This in turn increase mechanical loading, which ultimately that's what weight resistance training is. You're just mechanically loading your musculoskeletal system. When that happens, this stimulates bone remodeling better and faster, which promotes bone growth and potentially mitigating age-related bone loss. Again, so how does it do that indirectly? When it stimulates and affects the muscle mass and strength, that translates into more strength, more power, and higher capacity to train heavier, therefore stimulating bone mass a lot better on the long run. So I hope that kind of makes sense how creatine indirectly stimulates and improves bone mass. So for example, there was like a 2-year randomized control trial of about 240 postmenopausal women. That's very important, meaning the mean age was 59 years. So they're postmenopausal. Then examining the effects of creatine monohydrate supplementation, which was technically very low. It's only about 0.14 grams per kilogram per day, which works up to about, give or take, 3 or 4 grams of actual powder a day. And they compare it to a placebo, and they combine it with the resistance training and walking. And results clearly show that they improve bone geometric properties at the proximal femur and increase lean tissue mass in the creatine group compared to the placebo group. So again, emerging evidence also suggests very heavily that creatine may have a direct cellular effect on bone by potentially stimulating osteoblast activity, which is the key cell responsible for bone formation, which most of you guys know. So again, there's a lot more research coming up, and it's showing direct effect on bone mass. So we have the indirect effect on bone health by increasing power and muscle mass and strength, which gives the ability to push heavier weight more often and a higher duration, and the direct effect of actually creatine monohydrate potentially stimulating osteoblast activity. So right there, supporting bone health, another very, very useful aspect. Moving on from there, creatine definitely supports healthy weight management. So what does that mean? Well, as women age, obviously hormonal shifts and changes in the body composition take place. And this includes increased fat mass and decreased muscle mass, which is potentially long-term is a deadly combination because that leads to osteopenia and osteoporosis. So anyway, but that makes weight management a lot more challenging, okay, when you're losing muscle mass and strength and at the same time getting, body fat. So a common misconception is that creatine causes weight gain, right? Largely due to its effect on water retention. However, this is really not the case. Research clearly shows that creatine increases total body water levels by drawing water into the muscle cells, a process that enhances actually muscle hydration rather than fat accumulation. So you look better, you look fuller, your muscles look fuller because the intracellular content of the muscle cell increases as opposed to the water being in the subcutaneous part and in the adipose tissue in the skin, where it makes you look soft and puffy and even fat, really. So this is where the details lie, that the increased water content is inside the muscle cell. So it's beneficial. So creatine's effects on the body composition really may be considered favorable by most people, and they really should be. That's why I always tell people, forget the scale. Look in the mirror, measure your body mass, lean body mass, measure your fat mass. This is what really matters. It's not uncommon, for me to have to deal with people's psychology all the time, with women especially, when they begin, a health program for whatever they might be, and they start working out, they start walking, doing their cardio, doing resistance training. They feel great. They're sleeping better. I mean, they're just functioning and feeling better, hands down. but their weight either stays the same or even slightly increases, yet they look much better. Everybody tells them that they see it, and also their clothes fit much looser. All evidence of fat loss being, accomplished, body fat mass being decreased. Yet, because the stupid scale doesn't move, they're so ingrained in that ideology of the damn scale that it really messes them up. I've had people they're doing phenomenal. Everybody's telling them they're looking great, compliments left and right. They're seeing in the mirror. Clothes don't lie. You guys know that, especially for women. And yet they'll self-sabotage themselves because they just can't get past the numbers on the scale. So when you're losing body fat and putting on muscle mass, which is exactly what you want, especially if you're concerned, for aging healthily, this is everything. But because the muscle mass increases, body fat mass decreases, and either the scale doesn't move or even goes up a little bit, people freak out. And they'll stop any kind of sensible programming changing, and they go back to what they used to do. And sure enough, within a few month period, they're back to where they started, or even worse where they started. And this is a big problem with Ozempic. And my prediction is going to be here. I'm going to be very honest and tell you that give it about a year or two, maybe 3, and you're going to see some devastating effect happening with Ozempic. People are going to start gaining their weight back up again. But the only difference is they're going to have a lot of less muscle mass and potentially bone loss and other problems. And things are going to get much worse because Ozempic plays to the people's indoctrinated psychology of the weight on the scale. That's literally what it does. So as long as that scale is moving down and it's going down, those numbers every morning or every week they're going down, they are happy. It doesn't matter whether they're dehydrated. It doesn't matter their bodies are being hurt. It doesn't matter the muscle mass is being lost, bone mass is being lost. None of that matters. And you can easily see that's why they call Ozempic face, Ozempic skin, Ozempic body, because you just look, somebody put a vacuum in and just literally soaked you dry. So this sagginess, this nasty and healthy skin that you see in your face, in your body in general, this thinness, this frailty that people see and present with is an effect of, again, the debilitative effect of being very concerned and only concerned with the numbers on the scale and not paying attention to muscle mass and or fat mass. So anyway, I digress. Apologize. It's just something that I wanted to make known because we're already seeing the effects in my industry, but as a whole, in the general population, you're going to start seeing those effects within the next 1 to 2, 3 years. So, as I said, creatine's effects on body composition are definitely favorable. There's a very recent meta-analysis by Forbes and colleagues examining creatine's effects on body composition in adults at least 50 years or older. The findings directly suggest that individuals who are taking creatine supplementation during resistance training experienced a greater reduction in body fat percentage compared to those on placebo during resistance training that didn't take any creatine. So again, favorable. Additionally, the adults supplementing with creatine lost about 0.5 kilograms, roughly about a pound more body fat. That's pure body fat, not just on the weight, but just actual body fat mass than those on the placebo. So, however, it was not statistically different in that aspect. So the researchers emphasized that combining creatine with resistance training further enhances muscle growth and improves metabolic processes such as glucose uptake and fat metabolism, contributing to overall more fat loss and overall body composition improvement without actually trying to lose body fat or having being on restricted diets or anything like that. So I hope this kind of puts things in perspective why creatine is important and why muscle mass ultimately is important. And a lot of you guys have probably heard or have heard, especially the last couple of years, much research is coming up that correlates people with a higher muscle mass live longer, they function better. And there's a very good reason for that because it is. When somebody has a high muscle mass, high strength, high function, on everything else being equal, they are going to live longer. They are going to have a more productive, better, healthier life. So last thing we're going to talk about is how supplementing creatine actually supports athletic performance. Well, a lot of you guys might say, well, I'm not an athlete. Well, I don't know. Do you play tennis? Do you play golf? Do you play with your kids? Do you garden? Obviously work out. Well, you're an athlete, technically. You're an athlete of aging, right? So you might not be a professional or amateur athlete directly, but you are an athlete of aging and you're an athlete of life. So unless you want to sit on the couch all day or do whatever, maybe on a fishing boat somewhere, just doing nothing much but lounging and sitting around, if you want to be active and productive, well, you're an athlete of aging, and that is going to increase athletic performance. So here's how creatine does that. It promotes athletic performance in women, since we're talking about women here mostly. It does that in men again, but in women, whether in competitive sports or literally daily physical demands and activities. Doesn't matter. Whether you're a professional athlete, competitive sports, non-competitive sports, high activity of life, any of the physical demands in life. That includes also caretakers, people that actually care for sick people in the family or friends, or if that's your job. It takes a lot of physical demand out of you. And so clinical trials show very, very bluntly that women who incorporate creatine into their training experience just see a very significant improvement in strength, power, and lean muscle mass. Recently, here again, another randomized double-blind crossover trial of 24 subjects, which half are male, half are female, assessed creatine's impact on high-intensity exercise. It directly found that both male and female subjects alike receiving creatine supplementation exhibited greatly increased peak aerobic, anaerobic cycling power, and dorsiflexion, maximum voluntary contraction, or if these are just measurements of performance. So again, these findings demonstrate that creatine supplementation, can support women across various athletic disciplines, including strength training, and all the way down to just daily activities of living. Another one here in the 5-week study of 16 women, the creatine group significantly outperformed the placebo group in the 1 rep maximum bench press gain. Again, the creatine group also displayed decreased percent of body fat. So if you guys notice here, a lot of those studies, even though they were not designed for fat loss or looking for fat loss, they're observing continuously a pattern of decreased body fat. Okay. So that too, again, is just a confirmation why it is important and is really of high quality. Also, research also suggests that creatine may help reduce neuromuscular fatigue during endurance activities. So those guys who like to cycle, who like to run, who like to jog long distances, or perhaps obviously do long triathlons, creatine will help. These latest 2 studies here, they're done by scientists named Stout, and another study done by Smith et al. These guys concluded that female athletes who supplemented with creatine exhibited delayed onset of neuromuscular fatigue during incremental cycling and running exercise. So this effect, again, is linked to increased intramuscular phosphocreatine level, which ultimately help delay anaerobic glycolysis and reduce lactic acid and ammonia buildup. Ultimately, doing what? Enhancing endurance performance. So creatine monohydrate supplementation equals increased, enhanced endurance performance. That also some of the guys guys and girls who do not like to lift weights, but they're runners, they like to kayak, they like to cycle, do triathlon, swim, whatever, who are involved in generally more endurance-based exercises. Same thing here. Okay, so here's the bottom line. Creatine supplementation does support women's physical and cognitive health across various life stages in various activities in various ways. Research directly highlights its great benefits for muscle mass, strength, bone health, and athletic performance. Natural question that I want to go over real quick is, that the data on pregnancy, it does remain somewhat limited, but so far is very, very safe. So creatine is emerging again as a valuable tool and a top consideration for healthy aging in women across the lifespan. If you're pregnant, before you consume any creatine, you have to be careful because a lot of, even pre-workout, which some of those pre-workouts are right down dangerous, but they'll include creatine. Just always consult if you're about to be pregnant, or especially if you're pregnant, just consult with your pediatrician. Clean, high quality, pure micronized creatine monohydrate. It will be highly unlikely that it will have any negative effect on you during pregnancy. If anything, it can have the opposite, most likely. But yeah, if you want to be on the safe side, those of you who are going to be moms, just consult with your pediatrician. But this is it for today, and what I want to talk about on the podcast. Something that we get questions about again, and a lot of inquiries. So creatine is important. It is definitely, important for women especially. It does support physical health and beyond. So consider that. Usually loading parameters for creatine are not necessary. Some people say you have to load it, you don't. Remember, red meat contains a lot of creatine. However, to get the benefit, the ergogenic benefit from creatine, it has to be in isolated form. So usually between 2 and 5 grams of creatine a day, taken in divided doses or even one time with food is always pretty much needed. Consistency is the key. Do not take creatine with alcohol. Hopefully you're not drinking alcohol. If you guys follow my podcast, I'm against alcohol all the way. And also do not take with coffee because it will prevent the proper absorption and assimilation of creatine. Otherwise, it's not a problem. Creatine, like I said, is extremely safe. It's one of the most researched sports supplements and just nutraceuticals in general. And there's no issues whatsoever with medication as otherwise. But you can take it on an empty stomach with water. You can take it with a little bit of juice. You can take it also, just take the powder and put it on your food. Comes in capsules, comes in powder, whatever works for you. You can take it during a workout, right before a workout. Again, consistency on a daily basis is key, and it will build up in your system. And within days, a week or two at the most, you will feel the benefits. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to us. Go to DrPND.com. You can also go on our store. I have a phenomenal Creatine Monohydrate supplement available there. It's very inexpensive. You can have that. If you do purchase from us, this all purchases, anything from our store also does come with unlimited support. So anytime you buy something, you can ask for dosing sequences and patterns, and information. I have great clinical monographs that can send information that, goes over any supplement that you might be interested in or taking. And also, again, our unlimited support for its use and application. But today's podcast was a little bit different, but I had the request and the need to do that. So hope you guys got a lot out of it. Until next time, have a wonderful and healthy day. Enjoy the beautiful weather outside. And again, this is Dr. PND with Your Health Reclaimed. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for your valuable time and for listening to the Your Health Reclaimed podcast with Dr. PND. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and share this episode with a person you know it can help. If we can help you in any way, or you would like to connect with Dr. PND, please visit DrPND.com. That's DrPND.com.